Mxiety. I am on tonight with the awesome iamBrandon. This is my time to give you a little bit of a spiel of a thing of what we do here. The whole goal is to make mental health information accessible to everyone and to break the stigma that surrounds mental illness. We do that through talking to professionals, talking to advocates, talking to people about just their lived experience, what it's like to be them. And when we're not doing that, we're playing games, and we have a wonderful, wonderful community that you being here are part of. So thank you so much for being here. I am going to open up a queue so y'all will be able to ask your questions, and we'll throw them around at the end. But first and foremost, hi Brandon, so nice to have
Hi.
you.
Hi, everybody. How's it going?
Oh my gosh, so stoked. So this has been in the making for a while. So
I
it's
think I'm still working at my old job,
you
maybe.
were.
Yeah,
You
I
were.
was.
You
Yeah.
were. I think, hold on. I'm going to even say, I think you were at your old job.
Yeah. I
That's
was still working in the office back when we first started talking
Oh
about it. Yeah.
yeah. Oh my God. It's been a hot second.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
the point is you're here now, and that's
hmm
awesome, and we're so excited to have you. So Brandon is an industry vet. He's been in the gaming industry for a little while, so he knows a lot of stuff. It's going to be awesome to pick his brain on that. He is also sponsored by a bunch of amazing brands, but most importantly, he's just a straight shooter, a wonderful creator. I love following your Twitter. That's probably where most people know you from.
Thank you.
I think. Is that your pride and joy, or you're like, no, please watch my streams and like go to YouTube?
I mean, I feel like when it comes to social media, I could definitely get like my jokes on most of the time. But I think people do get a more sense of me as a person, like when they watch my stream, because to see how like I'm just a very awkward person, but it just on social media it just comes out as funny somehow. So I just like roll with it.
It's great. Oh, it's great.
Yeah.
You're great. So give us a little bit, I guess, a background on you and how you started to get to where you are now.
Like so like from the very beginning or just
Yes.
like
So first you
okay.
were born. First you were conceived. No, like as far back as you want to go there comfortably.
Yeah, I guess we could start. I grew up in a single parent household. I had two brothers, a older brother, younger brother. We played video games a lot. It was a big part of like my childhood. And so like when I was around I think 8th grade, I was super into like wanting to work for Nintendo. That was like
Aw.
I got interviewed by like the class, and they were like, "What do you want to do when you grow up?" And I was like, "I want to work for Nintendo." Had no idea what I wanted to do, but I just wanted to work with games. And then, I went to college, and I mean high school, and then went to college, and then originally wanted to be an English teacher. So
Oh,
obviously
history.
that,
History
yeah,
teacher.
well, English teacher,
No, for
English.
me. Sorry. I
Oh,
was
okay,
okay,
okay.
sorry. I'm
And so,
inserting myself. You're
oh no,
fine.
it's okay, it's all good. And so that's kind of why, like now, how I am is like kind of I do teaching of like you know uh content creator stuff and all that kind of stuff to kind of bring back the teaching side of me. But when I graduated college, I couldn't find a job. And so, and I was like, I don't want to be a teacher. So I kind of went in the direction of wanting to be a journalist. So when that happened, I ended up making my own website called ugrgaming.com. So that was like the first thing I had. And I started like social media. That's actually where I started my Twitch channel from. So the channel I have used to be under a different name.
Mhm.
And then I realized that you can't promote like websites on Twitch. It doesn't work like that. So I started kind of putting my own personality onto the channel, and then seeing the people react in a really positive way. And so I kind of wanted to pursue streaming kind of like as a newer avenue to what I could do. Um, so once I kind of got the groove of it, and then I learned about partnership and all this kind of stuff, I got really excited to try to become a partner on Twitch. So I did everything I could to try to get there. I applied for the spotlight for Twitch Weekly at the time, and then I got
Wow.
chosen to be on there. So
Mhm.
that was like the very first like situation where I was like introduced to the Twitch community outside of the small community I had when I used to just like stream Resident Evil games and that stuff.
Mhm.
And so yeah, I got partnered in 2016, I believe. I can't, it's been so long. But I got partnered in 2016, I believe. I think so. And then the very next day, I got my first industry job working at XSplit. as a community
Woo.
manager.
Hmm.
So I was working. I started social media like work a long time ago. I used to do social media for McDonald's back in the day.
Whoa.
Yeah. So I was a part of an initiative that they tried. This was when brands were not really like in social media, but
Right.
McDonald's wanted to try to be a part of it. So they had a campaign called "Our Food, Your Questions." So basically, they would have people send questions to their Twitter account or
Hmm.
their social media account, and then me and a few other members of a team, we'd be the people answering the questions to the people on social media. So that's kind of how I got my start in that. And then once I got to working in the gaming industry with XSplit, it kind of just started to go from there. And then I wanted to work in games. So I applied to work with uh, Versus Evil, which is a publisher, and I have several games that I my credits are in there, which is weird.
So
The very
cool.
first game that published that was a Nintendo game. My name is in there, so I kind of weird like moment where I was like, "Oh, so you are now
It
officially in a
happened.
Nintendo game."
Yeah.
Uh, and then from that, I kind of wanted to. I worked from home for the first like two jobs I had, and I wanted to get it back into the office space. And so I was friends with people who worked at Lightstream, which was a software
Hmm.
to
Hmm.
broadcast on online. And so I went for the community manager job for that, and I did that for about a year. And then I kind of felt like I kind of miss working in games. And then this job for I work for Reverb Games now, but I've always been a fan of what they've been doing for a long time, and I used to be on their mailing list long time ago, and they happened to have this position open. So I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna try it out. It's in California, so I'd have to move, but it's worth just trying. And then coronavirus happened, and
You're not
then
moving anywhere.
so I was like, I'm not moving. I got the job, but I ended up, started to work from home, and then everybody had to not be in the office, and then all of us are all remote at this point. So yeah, now I'm at Reverb Games. I'm very happy. I'm working with so many different developers and connecting them with streamers and YouTubers and all this kind of stuff. I've never had experience with a marketing agency, so this is totally different. But there's like the people on my team, the places that they've worked at, it's incredible. It's like let me think. I think there's like Capcom, just like all sorts of companies, like behind the scenes who have worked. Like the coworkers I have, they have a lot of background and stuff. So I've been learning a lot through
Didn't
this
you
job.
recently like talk to The Rock?
Me?
Yeah. Or like
Okay.
I know you
So
probably can't. I'm sorry
no,
if
no,
you
no.
can't say anything.
The thing about it is that there's a game. I can talk about it now, but
Oh,
there's a
okay.
game
Okay.
called Arc, which my
Great.
company works on. So Arc 2 was announced, and it's Vin Diesel. Vin Diesel is
Oh,
yeah.
I always
Oh
confuse
no, you're
them, and
good.
I.
And Vin Diesel is he's in Arc 2. So when I found that out, it was like obviously it was a secret that I had to keep. And it was gonna be announced at the Game Awards. So I was watching it live, and then to see like the whole thing right there, and like my company being behind it, and I'm like, I'm working on this too. It's things like that that I never thought I would be able to ever do in my life. Because I came from, I used to work at Walgreens and Jewel, and I used to work in these retail stores where I thought I was never gonna get out. I always thought that I was gonna be in that position forever. And then luckily I was able to break into the gaming industry how I did. And then that's why I spend a lot of my time now trying to give back to people and share the knowledge as well, because I feel like everybody has a purpose to want to do what they want with their life. So
That's awesome. And one of the things that I like absolutely adore about you is how unapologetically yourself you are. It seems like a no-brainer, but it's not, right? Like we both know people that are
hmm
not what they present themselves to be.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and so there hasn't been a moment where like I know I don't know you,
hmm
but I definitely feel like I know where you stand on things, right? There's
yeah.
never been an issue that like you haven't spoken on and haven't made sure that people know, what your real stance is and what you believe in. And
hmm
um is that has that been tough, especially with the fact that like you're in the industry? Like, do you have to toe the line there?
I think at a few jobs ago I had to like balance the line because I wasn't really I guess I wasn't really vocal back in the day, and there were a lot of people who were in the space that I was a streamer and also working in the gaming industry, so it was like there wasn't that kind of line where I could look and be like, okay, well, this person's doing it, it's fine. But when I took this job, and I was very, very adamant because this job is, influencer relations, and I am a streamer, so I know
Right.
what that's like.
Right.
They had to see my social media, and so they had to know what was going on, and that's why I tried to make sure to be very open about it. And my boss follows me on Twitter, both of them, so it's like they see everything that I say. So I've been pretty confident, and they know where my heart is at. So they trust that what I'm talking about is worth talking about. So I
Yeah.
don't go too crazy, but I try to keep it as like not embarrassing anybody to an extent.
Listen, if people embarrass themselves though, like the
That
situation
that
yesterday,
is true. Yeah, yeah, that was something that was whew,
that
that
was
was
that
something.
was all somebody just taking a hole and digging it to them. It was like it
Yeah,
was
it
racial
was.
and it was a
Yeah,
lot,
it just
fam.
it just it just kept going, and everybody's like, just stop, just like we don't
This
just
isn't
keep
even a
going.
train wreck that I want to
Yeah.
watch anymore.
Yeah,
It
exactly.
was just bad. But yeah, so and you do call people out. What makes you want to do that and like have the balls to do that? Because I don't think that I have the balls to do that.
I honestly, like, I feel that especially in the space that we're in,
Yeah.
there's been things get swept under the rug a lot.
Mm,
And I know, just like, me physically and me like mentally, like I am not people's cup of tea. Definitely not. So I'm not gonna sit there quiet because I'm afraid about what other people are gonna say about me. People don't like me anyway. So it's just like, well, let's just make sure that we just get what our thoughts out there and our opinions about stuff. Because um I don't think especially being in the gaming industry, there hasn't been a lot of like black gay men who I like knew,
right.
especially coming up. So I
Right.
just felt like I had to be the one to be like, you know what? I worked very hard to get here, and I want other people to be able to get here in the same position like me. Like I don't want to be the only one here. There's
Hmm.
many of us out there, and that why are we just like letting other people take our spots? We should be here too. There's still a table for everybody.
That's
It's all good.
awesome. That's
And so
awesome.
sometimes you gotta call out a few people.
Yeah.
And I have definitely have had some pretty big situations with some people. But what has always happened was that it would turn around, and what I was talking about was like the truth, that they should have just listened to what I was saying, and they could have avoided all the situations that happened. But sometimes people are not going to listen. And
No.
even after certain situations that I've dealt with like some of these situations where I've talked to people and tried to get them to realize like what they're doing, they probably shouldn't do.
Hmm.
If they don't listen to me, that's on them, and I leave it like that. And I don't go back to it. I said my piece. It's up to you to listen to me or not. If you don't want to take the advice, then you're out there by yourself. I don't have
You're
time
on
for
your
you.
own.
Yeah, you're on your own. I try to help. I try to help once or twice, and if you don't listen, that's it.
So I do want to back up and I want to
Mhm.
talk about that's a really powerful statement for you to say, well, I look like this, which is why I'm saying screw it. Like people aren't
Yeah.
going to like me anyway. Is that how
Hmm.
you got that attitude? Is that how that kind of came together? And was that part of also your growing up or was that like an attitude you developed? I want to learn more about that.
Yeah, I honestly I feel like it's been a lot of my whole dealings with being online. Like the last definitely the last 9 months have been insane. And
That's different. Yeah.
yeah, they definitely have been very insane. I've gotten more eyes on me than I've ever dealt with before. So it's been kind of a weird transition of dealing with like, okay, well, like people know me, but like I'll go back and look at a tweet that's like has like 1,000 likes. Like, okay, now people probably do know me. Okay, that's a lot going on. But like dealing with just people online who don't follow me and just like will just read one thing and take it the wrong way,
Sure.
or just attack me just be on based upon like my sexuality or my race and all that kind of stuff. So it's been a lot of trying to, I guess, be a stronger person, even though I hate that the internet has this mentality of that we need to have thicker skin to deal with what
Right.
people say
It's up to
online.
you to suck it up, not up
Yeah,
to people to not be nasty.
not exactly. Like the first, let me see, last year, in like within a 2 days part, I had 2 death threats that happened. So that was something that I had never dealt with before, but it was like some serious stuff that I had to like mentally step back and be like, I need to come up with some kind of training mechanism for myself so I don't like freak out, because I was like really in a panic, didn't know what to do. I was like, I don't want to be on the internet. This is scary. It was getting to the point where people were like saying things about like my personal life that I had shared, that I have stopped sharing because I don't want people to weaponize like my personal life against me.
Right.
Yeah, so it's been a struggle, but I'm getting to a point where it's just like, okay, I've gone through that. I could deal with a little bit more, but let's not go too crazy.
Let's still not, don't test
Let's
me.
not go too crazy. We could get to a certain spot, but like right now, I feel like I have been stronger with that. And yeah, I do like to keep some of my personal life to myself, because it like yeah, the way I saw a particular person who was just talking about my personal life as if it was something bad, I was just really disgusted by it, and it just made me realize, okay, you don't need to share everything on the internet, because you don't know some people out here and how they will use it against you. So
But
yeah.
that sucks. Like
Hmm.
that sucks that you had to kind of take this part of yourself back
Yeah.
because it was used against you
Yeah.
by a judgment from somebody who doesn't know you. Like as much
Yeah.
as they can
Yeah.
possibly know you, they don't know you.
Hmm.
Even if you did talk about like your relationships or whatever, like your
Hmm.
whatever family situation, whatever it is,
Hmm.
they don't know. How do
Yeah.
you Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, no, no.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
How do you decide which? Because I see you sometimes like snap and give the perfect judgment to somebody, but
Yeah.
I will look at it and I'll be like, I don't know that I would have said something. Not even because like I don't have the ovaries, but because I would have been like, I would have just let this person like stew in their own hate, but you
Hmm.
will call it out. And so like,
Yeah.
how do you decide this one's getting a call out? Like I'm not putting up with this.
I mainly because I feel like, especially when it comes to racism, and if you are not a person of color, you don't realize what people have to deal with, like especially on my side. So a lot of the main reasons why I do that is because I want people to see what I get. I get a lot of people who tell me like, "Oh, Brady, you're such a nice guy. I don't know why like people would say anything about you," and I'm like, I appreciate the thought, but like this is the stuff that I'm dealing
Yeah.
with, like in my mentions and that I'm getting back. And I want you guys to see what I have to deal with so you can become a better ally or a better person
Yeah.
to defend against this kind of stuff. Because yeah, like people who are following me hopefully aren't crazy and racist. We'll say that. But I have had a few people who come out of nowhere and I'm like, why are you following me? What
Why
is going on?
didn't
Well,
what
this
me?
is weird. Like
Yeah.
we don't mix here. It doesn't, I don't understand. But yeah, I do that because I want people to see what I experience so they understand why I am the way I am. Because like yeah, if you're not a black gay person or whatever, you may not see what I see. So I want people to be aware of the kind of gross, disgusting things that people are willing to just say. And so whoever reads that can take it back and be like, you know what? I'm totally against that. And whenever I see this is happening, I'm gonna stop it when I see it.
That's amazing. So that's your goal kind of
Yeah.
with that is to get
Hmm.
people, because I never know how to respond to that stuff other than like, oh God, I'm so sorry. Like I
Yeah.
can't believe somebody had just said that. Like thought
Yeah.
that thought came into their mind and then
Hmm.
they typed that out and then they were like, I'm gonna go on with my life now. Like
Yeah.
you see some comments, especially like the stuff you get is
Hmm.
racial or homophobic and
Yeah.
just awful. And like how do you respond? Just raise more awareness? Like what can I do as an ally to
Hmm.
help you when something like that is going on? Or do you not need help? Like
I mean, to me, I think the best thing when you see that kind of stuff is definitely reporting when you see the stuff that
okay.
comes out, because
Yeah.
that does help. Because I see it when people's accounts are gone. Because I people need to know their actions have consequences. So as long as they're like going on Twitter and saying these things to people that they don't know, they should be held accountable for it. And so whenever you see that kind of stuff, definitely like reporting. And I said that in a few tweets ago. If you see people like needing help, report it. You know, they need like, especially if it's like someone who's targeting, harassing someone. That's usually the thing. But I was gonna say another reason why I do make sure I call out certain things is because of the fact that I tend to like to use trolls as content because I always think that like, hey, you know what? They're coming at me. Why don't I just try to
Right.
use them? You know, that's great engagement for me. So I
Right.
usually will clap back with something funny and they don't say anything back because they weren't expecting me to respond. And that's when a
Right.
lot of things happen. Like people will say stuff to me because they're like, oh, he has a lot of followers on Twitter. He's never gonna see this. But I read mostly everything. So I could definitely see when people are like saying stuff to me. So I kind of pick and choose when I'm gonna actually respond, but sometimes I just kind of ignore it because I was in a really bad period like a few years ago where I just was like I would get mad and just like say something to someone every single time they would say something to me. And then after a while, I was just like, why don't I just block them? Just I don't need to do that. Like whatever they're gonna say the thing like, oh, I won because you blocked me. Okay, cool. There's your tweet. You got it out. I don't have to deal with you anymore. Perfect.
Yeah,
You
enjoy
know?
that win because I
Enjoy
won't
it.
see it.
Yeah.
Like it's
Yeah.
I never understood that. In my
Yeah.
life, I never understood how like I how does the other person win? If I've cut you out of my life, cut your
Hmm.
ability to access me, how did you win? What in
Yeah. Yeah.
what is winning in that
Yeah.
scenario?
That's why I made a joke out of it because I screen grabbed when someone I blocked someone and it was like you're blocked.
Mhm.
So I made a whole screen grab that I posted myself. I was like, "Oh my god, I can't believe iamBrandon blocked me. This is ridiculous, but I won." And it was like a tweet from myself
Right,
saying
right,
that I
right, right,
blocked
right,
myself.
right,
It was
right.
just like making fun of people who do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But another thing that has definitely helped with my whole like I guess coping with social media like just I guess negativity, I like muted like notifications from people who don't follow me,
Yes.
and that has been amazing.
Oh
Like
my
ever since
life
the death
changer.
threats, yeah, ever since the death threat wow, death threat stuff happened. I did that and it was so great to not have to see that garbage coming through. I mean, sometimes, yeah, I'll go search to make sure if I had to block someone because I always want to be alert
You don't
if
want
there's
that
someone.
sitting in there.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
In case someone is like really like they're very like not mentally stable and I need to be
Right.
worried about my safety. I just want to like have a handle on who is saying stuff to me. But like usually I do that and then every few days I'll go through and see if it's someone saying something stupid. I just block them.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah.
Your block list must be because you tweet about
Woo!
blocking a lot. Your block list
Oh yeah,
must
I
be
love
like
blocking people. It's
out
great.
of this world.
Yeah, it's like it's almost at I think 2000 at this point. I'm very proud of it because it's full of like trash. So it's just like it's all there. Keep
Is
cleaning
that
it
more
out.
people than you follow? Like, do you follow or
It
block
probably
more people?
is.
Or block more people?
It probably definitely is. I would not be shocked. But yeah, I definitely have run into just like definitely like situations where it's been someone I blocked and I saw them in real life. And they've tried to come up to me to be like, hey, like I want to discuss our situation. I'm like,
Oh
no.
no.
And this has happened at a few Twitch cons where I like if I block someone, I'm like I'm being serious, like that's it. Like we're not having a discussion about it. Like leave me alone. But you
Especially
know,
the
some
stuff
people
you block isn't like people being like, "Oh, actually grass is blue." Like that's
yeah,
not
yeah,
why you
yeah.
block people.
Yeah, yeah. So it's like a serious thing if I have to go through the whole process of like blocking someone, obviously. So
Does this affect your mental health? Like, or have you
blocking
gotten such a
people? Oh, I love it. But
having to block like reading all of this because I have a very hard time if I post something and
Mhm.
I do the whole thing also where if you're not following me, I don't get a notification for you because
Yeah,
I
yeah.
99% of the time it's not stuff you'd like need to see.
Yeah, and it's
Um
under the show more replies usually if it's someone saying something crazy.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So what will happen is I'll do the same thing and then I'll go through and it will be nasty stuff, but it gets to me.
Mhm.
Does it get to you or do you just like are these just names?
Um, I usually at this point I could like I have a really good sense of reading how much it's gonna like be something I don't want to be around to block. I don't even know how it works. It's just like I could tell. I can just feel when someone is not following me and they're saying something to me. And it's usually like they'll insult me right away. And I'm like, okay, all right, you're out. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's just like usually it starts with an insult. It's like, okay, you're out of here. And I get it. I definitely get it a lot when I respond to like Twitch posts sometimes. You know what I mean? Like
Oh
in
no.
in
Oh,
support of somebody, or like sometimes I just go in there and I'm like, you know what? If someone's being
let's
highlighted in a
go.
Twitch post, like I'm gonna make sure this person like is getting like love and support, because you know
Right.
how the
No,
Twitch
it,
posts are,
yeah,
it's full of trash and people like, oh
same.
my god, unbanned, blah blah blah, and all that kind of stuff. So
Yeah, no, that's
um
the same thing. If I see ad, if I
mhm,
also have gotten into the habit of liking people's going live tweets, even if I'm
mhm,
not gonna go watch them, just because like those don't get enough engagement. Yeah,
mhm,
yeah, all of
yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah.
But so often, especially obviously marginalized creators, if
Mhm.
any spotlight is put on them, like you
You'll
have to
hear
go.
something. Yeah,
You
you'll
you
hear
have
something.
to go and post positive stuff so that it
Mhm,
can be like maybe higher on the algorithm,
mhm.
hopefully, than the
Yeah,
trash. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, so it really seems like you have a good handle on it. I don't know. Like I feel like uh, it's twofold. On one hand, I'm like, I guess if my whole life, if everybody was just like, you suck for being you, which
Mhm.
I kind of got in a very, 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 very different way, right?
Yeah.
I that can break you, but you can
Mhm.
take the other stance of, well, this doesn't like this. If this is the worst it can be, I'm not putting up with it.
Yeah, yeah. And that's where I'm at, because like I'm very confident of where I am in my career and as a person. And like people are gonna say what they want online, but then I could just literally turn around and be like, well, that's why I got this award for Streamer of the Year last year. So I'm pretty sure that I'm okay. Uh
Oh, have you seen
but
my award? Oh, you haven't.
just like
Oh, okay, okay.
and I do that all the time.
I've
Like
seen you do that, yeah.
my biggest thing is, and my biggest motivator are the people who tell me I can't do something, and I will
Mm.
usually go back and make sure that they know that they're wrong. And I'm very petty when it comes to that.
Do you like
People like,
bookmark their tweets? How do
oh
you?
yeah, oh there was a
Oh.
person who this happened. Yeah, this happened last year before I got the award. It was 2 days before I got the award, but I knew I already won it. This
Mhm.
person basically said that I had no impact because I didn't have like 1,000,000 followers like other people or whatever this happened. So
Oh
the
my, oh, I
yeah,
remember because it was
yeah,
around that time when
yeah, it
all
was
that
around,
trash was happening about
yeah,
you don't
yeah,
have X amount of followers, so you don't
yeah.
matter.
Yeah. So then when that award was announced, I made sure that I unblocked that person who was like, I was like, oh, I just unblocked you. And I like wrote a bunch of ha-has with the award like linked to it so they could see it. And then of course they backtracked and they're like, okay, well, that's good for you. I wasn't saying it like that. I was like, no, okay, no,
I
shut it
don't care
down.
how you
Shut
were
it down.
saying it. You weren't saying
You're
it
just
nice.
yeah, they were not expecting that to happen. The same thing happened where it was like something with G4, and I was like responding, just like to respond to be fun or whatever. And someone was like trying to critique how I did it. And the thing about it is that I've worked in social media for a very long time,
Right.
and this is a part of my job. I know what I'm doing.
Right.
This random person decides that they want to critique how I did it, and they're like, you know what, I wouldn't hire you for to work at G4 or work with you because of how you did this. And I was like, okay. So like a month later, G4 reached out to me and they're like, hey, we want you to be a part of our Thanksgiving thing. And I was like, oh, okay,
Oh, is
perfect.
that
Yeah,
right?
that happened. And so I got another email recently from them. Again,
Mhm.
they're like, hey, we really love your work and all this kind of stuff. We want
Mhm.
to do some
Mhm.
stuff with you. And I was like, see, this man who was talking about me saying that he would never hire me, even though he was not anything
He's not
of
in a position
whatever.
to hire
Not
anybody.
exactly that like G4 would never want to work with me. And I'm like, okay, well now they've wanted to work with me twice and they literally know who I am at this point. So that was my great revenge story. Like I am a very big advocate for the best revenge is success, and the people who don't doubt you, make them eat their words. That's what I do every time, and that's why I have been doing this for a very long time in that kind of mindset. I don't I wish I didn't have to live like that,
Of
but my
course.
the best things I've ever done has been because someone has told me I couldn't do it. And I'm like, okay, let me prove you wrong, and I'm gonna do it. And then when I do it, there you go.
How much is that usually like the crap that you deal with? How much of it is like racist, homophobic trash compared to just regular run of the mill troll who like the G4 guy, who knows if he
Hmm.
was racist?
Yeah,
Probably
yeah, yeah,
also.
yeah,
But
yeah.
like how much of this I just the reason I asked this question is because I feel like people have no idea how
Hmm.
much harder it is for people who are not white on the internet.
Hmm.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
we have been slowly growing awareness about the fact that like being a woman on the internet is hard, but it's a
Yeah.
whole other level of the critique and also the standard that you have to like live up to of what the
Mm-hmm.
expectation is of you. So how much like yeah, let's just talk about that.
Yeah. Yeah.
How much of what you deal with is fueled by that, and how do you handle that?
Ooh, like honestly, I feel like it's definitely a little bit of both now at this point. It's like both racist or homophobic. And so I mean this is why I really gravitate towards women and how just like being a obviously a supporter of women, but also being like, hey, we're not gonna let this shit happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I've always said I will always be on the side of a woman before a man because I have said this a few
Because
times. Some dudes out there are very trash. They are. And so I feel that because I see what people say to me, and I can only imagine what like a woman deals with on the internet and in gaming, and people like try to discredit your work because of their stupid ideals, which is crazy. And then they turn around and be like, "Why doesn't any woman want to date me?" Never understood that logic.
how could this happen?
How could this happen? Um, but yeah, it's definitely as I have grown, it's gotten a lot larger
Yeah,
with like, the hate, but
really.
I've been pretty good with dealing with it. And that's why like I made sure that like before anybody follows me, like you are gonna know right then and there that I'm a part of the LGBT community because I'm gonna have the flag in my name. So it's basically like when you hit that follow button, you are agreeing that you're okay with this and you're a supporter and you're not gonna, deal with this
Sure.
stuff because I dealt with so many people who would follow and then they would start seeing that I would be talking about LGBT issues and they would
Right.
check out and be like, oh, I'm out of here. I don't deal with that. Or if it's like,
Okay,
yeah,
bye.
it'd be like that. Unfortunately, it's because like, I would see people who would follow me because like they're like, oh yeah, you're a black streamer. I want to follow you. Oh, but you're gay. Oh, I can't. No, I can't do that. You
That's the
know,
line.
that's the kind of crazy stuff that
Right,
I deal with. So that's
right,
why I'm very like super straightforward front. It's right in the name. You cannot miss it.
right.
I actually changed my name to Gay for one day just to see what people would say.
Wait, I don't remember this experiment.
Oh, I did it. I did it sometime last year. And I like every few months I have to say something like about like, hey, I'm gay, so because it's like people don't read or like they like will follow and don't even realize it. I don't know. There's been so many
But
people who are like,
not
oh,
just people,
what?
these are bigots. Like,
Yeah,
because
they
a
don't realize
regular,
it.
yeah,
Yeah.
a regular
Hmm.
person doesn't care what flag or LGBT, like, it wouldn't care.
Hmm.
They would just follow you. But for somebody to be like, I'm unfollowing because you're gay,
Yeah. Yeah.
there's no way that that's not discriminatory
Yeah.
in no shape or form.
And yeah, and the craziest thing is that I did it one time on a Saturday. I was drunk when I did this stuff. I went to brunch and I was like, I'm just gonna tweet something about like, just for like, for people to know if the homophobes are still lurking around, I'm gay, so you know. And
Hmm.
so people started to retweet it. And then
Hmm.
somebody responded from a streamer, like this person was following a streamer who had retweeted it,
Hmm.
and they're like, I'm gonna unfollow you for even retweeting that. And then the streamer was like, okay, well, fine, make sure you unfollow me. And then like other streamers started to see that this person
Yeah.
was following them. And so it's just turned into this whole big like thing where people were telling this person to unfollow them because they didn't want to have like a homophobe following them
Yeah.
anymore. And this person was like insane. I was
That
like, oh my
backfired.
God, it backfired on them really bad, but sometimes that's how you get the trash out of your community who you don't know who are lurking in the background is because what they respond to because of a simple tweet from somebody else saying that. And you want to be like, I'm unfollowing you because you retweeted that in support of someone else. Okay, bye. Like,
I
there's
always
other people. Yeah.
right. I always find that so amused. Like I'll see the posts that are like, "Hey, by the way, I'm gay and pro
Mm-hmm.
trans rights and Black Lives
Mm-hmm.
Matter." And I'll see that tweet and I'm like, "Oh no shit. Like are people really going to be like, "Oh yeah, now I'm unfollowing?" Like what I'm saying
Yeah.
shouldn't because my expectation is okay, my actions are such. Things that I
Mm-hmm.
tweet that I support are such. So if you're
Mm-hmm.
following me, you're probably getting the message that like I'm pro mental health. I hope that's
Mm-hmm.
not a shock to you. So if
Mm-hmm.
I have to write that out and then it's a shock to you. That's like levels of not smart.
Some people aren't smart. That's what it is. That's once you get over that little hump that like there's some people who are just not like they just don't get it unless you actually have to spell it out for them. They don't know. So it's I like I try to spell it out just in case, someone missed it or like, skip that first part of the
Right.
accept as you hit
Right,
that follow
right,
button.
right.
Um, but I think it's just important to always just talk about what you stand. So the
Yeah.
people who follow you know where you stand because like obviously when it comes to like Black Lives Matter issues,
Right.
we do want to know where you stand at. And if
Yeah.
especially if you have a big platform and you're not saying anything and then you're like just being like, "Oh, I'm going to be quiet about it." Oh, we notice that
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the whole it's not enough to be anti-hate, you have to be like it's not enough to believe in something, you have to actively stand for
Mhm.
it and say that
Mhm.
you are. And that didn't I don't think that hit me until the BLM movement started last June. I don't think
Mhm.
I like understood. I was like, well, of course Black Lives Matter. Like
Mhm.
obviously. And of course
Mhm.
I would like never discriminate against anybody, and like I probably have behaviors that need to be adjusted that
Mhm.
are racially biased and all that. Like that needs to go. Like there's a lot of self-reflection, and one of the things that I self-reflect that like I recognized was I was like it's not enough to just be like, "Oh, people obviously don't people you would I don't know I
It's
it's
crazy to think
stupid.
about.
It is
It's good.
crazy to
Yeah.
think about, but it's also like that's a fucking privilege. That
Mhm.
is my privilege to be like, well,
Yeah.
obviously everybody isn't mean, but
Mhm.
like that's because that's not what I've dealt with growing up.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I've dealt with like I know where my enemies are, and they're not people on the internet hating me just because of the color of my skin.
Yeah.
So
Um,
yeah.
yeah, because last June, which forever will always be like the pentacle and the stamp mark. Like obviously, like I've been dealing with racism my entire life. Black Lives Matter has been around for a very long time, but I think with the coronavirus and everybody being at home and like having to actually think about stuff instead of like going out to do different things, it
Mhm.
actually
Mhm.
made people think about what was going on. And then when the George Floyd stuff happened, people saw it all over the internet
Mhm.
and saw what was going on. And I remember when that happened, I was streaming and I got off a stream and I saw on Twitter, and I remember it was J Rock, the God had said
Mhm.
something on Twitter. Basically, he was like, I think he said, "Oh man, not again." And this is right after I think Breonna Taylor, I think, I'm pretty
Yeah, because there was
sure.
a series of
It,
events.
it was
George
it was
Floyd was like just
yeah,
the biggest like
yeah.
the final nail in the coffin,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah, and I was like, "You know what? This is getting to be too much." And then I just was like from that day, I was just like speaking on like my experience and all this kind of stuff because it was time for people to wake up because
Yeah,
there was just so much stuff that was happening and people not saying anything. And I'm being like, you know what? I have this platform to talk as a black person to be like, this is not right, and we should be speaking on this. Like we're throwing out the no politics and all this kind of stuff out the
yeah.
window. I got to make sure that's still not in my rules. I gotta make sure my
Just
rules are from
like yeah,
2016,
right,
but
right, right, right.
like throwing all that stuff out and being like, we need to have an open discussion about it. And then people were like supporting and seeing like the pain that we were experiencing, like seeing that stuff all over the internet that is trauma, it's traumatic. Seeing that another black person has been murdered by the police right there, and then it's shared all over the internet, and so you continuously see it
Yeah,
for, and this is
that's
for years for me. I'm
right.
32 years old, and I've been like, I think when I really realized this was happening was definitely um when I was 21, and like I remember I had went out to this bar with my friends, and like all of us were black, and my friend got into this fight, and he ended up getting into this fight with this like off-duty police officer. And I remember I was screaming at my friend, "It's like we need to get out of here because they're gonna kill us." And I remember that, and that's what kind of set me off. That I'm being from me being like, I need to talk about this kind of stuff because there are
Yeah,
people who literally don't know, and
yeah,
it's understandable because like if you're not black, you don't know. But if it's like you don't have someone to tell you this is what's going on. I need to be that person who you may be following who's going to speak and talk about it and letting you know. And so I just started talking about it, sharing all this stuff that was happening. And then that's when I did start getting a lot of the hate and all like the racist people, like people being like, you're being racist or white people for saying these things. Cause I'm like, I look,
I'm so sorry.
no, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. And the thing about it is that I never ever spoke about like people are being racist toward me or whatever. It wasn't anything about that. It's like open your eyes to what is
Yeah.
happening though. You know what I mean? It's not easy and it's not meant to be comfortable. It's not going to be wrap in a bow. It's none of this is going to be perfect.
Yeah.
You know, it's just about the change that needed to happen and needs to still happen. It's not done yet. So that's why even like when the election was happening, I was very, very vocal about it. Like I was very, very like,
Yeah.
I don't like Trump. So
Yeah.
I don't give a shit what we got to do. If you are a Trump supporter, get out of my house, get out of my following, get out of my community. I know because of the fact that, he stood for
He stood for, yeah.
so much stuff that was against me and other people that there was no way in hell that I would be associated with anybody. I don't have a Trump supporter in my friend group. So you definitely know that there's not going to be anybody who's following me and watching my channel who's going to come in here and talk to me about
I'm
it.
sorry, I'm laughing
Yeah.
because I'm like the immediate thought is, of course, an ex-friend of both of ours
Mhm.
who, yeah, that's my first thought is like,
Mhm.
how can you see that? How can you know that
Yeah.
this person literally hates you for who you
Mhm.
are, and then go, yeah, I'm gonna go vote for him now. Like
Yeah.
I don't, I
Yeah,
can't.
I think we all have experienced that where we have a situation where it's like someone who you think and this is what
Yes,
I've had to put in my mind that like look, I don't actually know some of y'all on the
sure.
internet,
No, no, no. It's true.
and it's like
Yeah,
yeah, and it's like you grow friendships with people, but when it comes to a point for me at least where it's like you are willing to vote for something to continuously harm me and to divide,
yeah,
I cannot mess with you
yeah,
because that doesn't happen.
yeah.
So obviously I had to let a few people go, and that's fine. I'm not gonna go chase after them and try to figure out their feeling. They made
No,
their choice. That's fine.
yeah.
So, but for me, I need to be around people who support me,
Mhm.
who are not voting for things against me and my people and people who are like me because like we for the last 4 years, when I knew this was like when this all first started, I said this was gonna happen. I knew this was gonna happen. That I knew like the hate and the
Yeah.
division was going to be caused by this person.
Mhm.
So anybody who had supported him, I don't have them in my life and they don't deserve to be in my life. They can go live their life. I will not wish ill will on those people, but they will not be a part of my life and call me a friend or me call them a friend because that is not a friend to me at
Yeah.
all.
Yeah, well, the shock for me was that, particularly the person that we both know, like, I literally went to TwitchCon and, like, shared a bed with them. Like, I
Mhm.
did think I knew them, and
Mhm.
so there is definitely, a level of, and again, this is my privilege of being like, "What?
Mhm.
What? How? They're doing what? Oh, is that
Mhm.
not good? Oh, I'm so, like coming in like an idiot, like just ignorant,
Mhm.
not clueless, like just ignorant to the reality of who is being hurt. It's
Mhm.
not enough. I think there was very much, for me, there was very much a, well, it's not, you go vote over there and you're not hurting me.
I
And
think it was like that before,
yeah,
before the whole Trump stuff.
yeah.
It was like that. It's like,
It,
okay,
what,
well, if
like
you're a
Bush?
Republican, I'm cool.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah, go over
But
there and vote for
mhm.
him, and
Yeah.
that's fine, but at least there wasn't like literally like anti-gay legislation being
Mhm.
enacted and stuff.
Mhm.
And then that
Absolutely.
started
Yeah.
happening after and I was like, "Oh, now you're supporting, but he literally just did that." And
Mhm.
you're supporting that. You can't selectively support
Yeah.
some of the things and not
Yeah.
others. Yeah.
Like this election was different.
Yeah,
Like
this was totally different.
it was very different. It was like you are here and you're here. So
Yep.
if we're going over there, you stay over there. Don't mess with me because I'm not. I'm there's no way. And like even in my personal relationships, I have been very, 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 very open about it. Like I'm in a relationship right now. I would never date a Trump supporter at all. It would never happen. Thankfully, I'm not dating one. But like he is dealing with like, just his family being
Mm-hmm.
like that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's, just he's trying to do that whole thing. And I'm like, okay, like if you need my support, I'm here. But he's, trying to educate people on why this stuff is wrong. But it's people who have been living in these kind of communities that they've never
Yeah.
seen diversity. So they
Mm-hmm.
don't know the difference. So they think everybody's there to attack them. He's dealing with that kind of stuff. I don't know about that because obviously I didn't grow up in that kind of way, but I do feel for him because it's like, turning on your family being like they can't understand like
Yeah.
trying to make equality happen. It's crazy for me to think about because I'm like, why would you want that? But there are some
Right.
people who just literally, they got their champion to be there for them. And that's why we've seen the craziness that it's been,
Yeah.
that's why I've been like, everybody has to be open to what's happening on the news. Like we
Yeah.
saw all this stuff that's happening,
Yeah.
like with the Capitol and
Yeah. Oh
like
my
all
god,
that kind of
that
stuff,
whole thing. Like
Yeah.
I was already awakened by that. Like I at least was not stupid enough to like still be following along and believing that like the other side had any good intentions
hmm
for me.
After
But
that, I was like,
but
you
after
can't act
that,
like you can't.
yeah, I was like, you
Yeah.
can't not say
Yeah.
something. You
Yeah.
kidding me? You can't. Apparently, since that event, there's been tens of thousands of people who have registered away from the Republican Party. So not necessarily
Ish.
Democrat, but like
Yeah.
not associating themselves
Wow.
with Republican anymore.
Yeah. So hopefully they find the light in Jesus. That's all I gotta say. Hopefully they find the light in Jesus. And like obviously I'm glad he's gone.
But the
And
work's not
we
done.
had the,
Yeah.
the work is not done. Biden's not gonna save everything. And I obviously I don't agree with everything that he stands
Right.
for, but I knew we had to do what we had to do.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping that we can start seeing some changing and things things will get back to being better, especially with coronavirus and all this stuff that's happening.
Hmm.
So many people have died, and to actually have someone who is actually trying to do something instead of like
So refreshing.
it's
Who would have thought?
refreshing. It's like someone who actually seems to care. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I think all of us who have been hoping for a change, like the events that happened last year, especially the last like few months, it was
Hmm.
just like I cannot believe this is happening and what's gonna happen next year.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's been crazy, but
It's been, but you're so first of all, thank you for speaking on all of that.
hmm
I know we like naturally went there, but still, thank you. You don't
hmm
have to, so
yeah
thank you very much.
hmm
But I did want to kind of go into this is just a straight question. How
hmm
do you feel about people who came in droves in June and were like, Brandon, here's like 6,000 views and 1,000 subs, and they're not there anymore. Like
yeah
that, I feel again, not trying to equate my experience with yours in
oh
any
yeah
shape or
yeah
form, but
hmm
every time May rolls around, which is Mental Health Awareness Month, and Suicide
hmm
Prevention Week rolls around in September, I go, oh yeah, you care about mental health. Oh,
yeah
okay, yeah, oh,
yeah
yeah, sure, come on in. Yeah, no, we love the fact that you care about mental. And then they slowly
hmm
roll on out, and
hmm
I don't want to be petty because it's support is support is support is support, but it's not all the same.
Oh yeah, yeah,
It's not. So
yeah,
let's talk about that.
yeah. So yeah, we can definitely go right into Jude. So yeah, I made a video it's on my Instagram, it's on my Twitter somewhere, but like the day that everything kind of happened and changed, it was like, I had been, on this content creation reel for a very long time, and people like knew who I was, but it was just like all of a sudden a veil was released and all these people were like, oh my god, there's black streamers on Twitch, let's go follow them all. And it was like
Yeah.
it was a lot. I had never gotten so much like support and positive energy coming my way like ever. So the next few weeks, like my viewership was like high up there.
Yeah.
I'm like oh my God, like this is what my life's gonna be like now. Like I'm gonna be able to stream and so many people are gonna be here. I hit like a no, I hit 2,000 subs on Twitch when I only had like 150 a month. I like within
Hmm.
like 3 weeks, I had like 2,000 subs.
Hmm.
So I'm sitting here like, okay, I don't know if this is gonna stay like this, but I'm gonna keep streaming it because I want to hit those goals for my community because like we need to get like I want these emotes for my community who's been
Yeah,
here
yeah,
forever. And
yeah.
so like it was crazy to see so many people coming in and supporting and like me thinking like, oh, these people are really like enjoying my content. And then it slowly was starting to like dissipate very quickly. And I was like, okay, all right, viewership is going down. Okay, that's fine. People have other things to do.
It's not as
And
hyped.
then,
Sure, you
yeah,
expect it to drop a
then,
little bit because you're
yeah,
like, all
but
right, the hype is gone.
yeah, if you see my stats from June
Is it
to,
like,
oh, like June, it's all the way up and then it goes right down. It was crazy. Like it was insane. Um, I honestly, for those people who actually did that and who were like, jumping on the bandwagon of let's like support black streamers, but I did my piece, I watched the black streamer, I
that's a
subscribed to
check
them
mark
and
for
I'm out.
me?
I'm out. Like you should be,
Yeah.
honestly, I would say you should be ashamed of yourself for doing that. you know like obviously I don't want to be viewed as like a black streamer, come watch me. My content is good, and a lot of the black streamers on Twitch are very entertaining and are awesome and really,
Yeah.
really good.
Yeah.
And so it's like people should have been there from the get go. It
Yes.
shouldn't have taken trauma for that to happen. Um, but it was I just always in the back of my head knew that it wasn't gonna last because of how I've known how people are. So like companies are reaching out to me like out of nowhere,
Right.
or like, oh, hi, like we want to work with more creators and we just happen to want to talk to you. Like I specifically got on a phone call with a PC company during the time of June, where
Hmm.
at this time I was kind of working with the management group who I'm with now, but I wasn't really. But like I was like, I'm gonna need some management because I know they're gonna
Hmm.
be like
Hmm.
companies are gonna
Hmm.
try to reach out to me. And this spokesperson was talking to me. He was like, yeah, so we definitely have like been lacking in our diversity and we want to work with you
Okay.
and isn't that blah blah blah. And so I'm like, okay, well, if you're gonna try to use me, I'm gonna try to get a free PC out of y'all. We're gonna do that. So they were doing all this kind of stuff, and then June ended, and then all of a sudden, we don't think you have enough growth for us, so we don't think we can work with you.
Hmm.
Oh, okay, of course, because now it's not,
You're not
in
gonna
the
get
timeline
bonus
anymore.
points.
Yeah, you're not
Yeah.
gonna get bonus points for having me on, for all that kind of stuff. And so that's why I was very, 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 very selective of like who I work with is all this kind of stuff. Even after that, because I don't want people being like, okay, let's see, we're looking for a black shamer. This one's black. Oh, his name's Brandon. He's gay. Okay, we got two. We got two for one.
Two.
We got two for
Damn.
one. Let's do it. And I make a joke of that sometimes, but I was very selective, and especially I've said this about Black History Month. Now this year coming upon it, like I don't want people tagging me in things, being like, "Oh, follow these people." I don't need mentions on Twitter. I don't need that. If you
Yeah.
want to really support me, follow me on the platforms that I'm posting content on.
Right.
If you want to help financially support what I'm doing, I have the coffee link on there. I have my tips donations on Twitch. I have you can subscribe to me. There's a lot of people out there who have Twitch Prime for free and who are not using it. You can support me that kind of way. And I honestly do appreciate that more than someone tagging me on Twitter for someone to be like, "Oh, okay, cool, I'll follow him," but I won't. I just wanted to get some people in this list.
Right.
Like I want that more than anything.
Yeah.
But I was saying I was being very particular and I was very serious when I said this. It's like if any company, especially this month, is reaching out to me like about working with them on a project and they want me to talk about racial stuff, like they have to pay me to do it because the trauma that I have to deal with to go back and talk about this stuff to fulfill someone else's project to like that their Black History Month project is done, y'all are gonna have to pay me. And I've been very upfront about it, and people have been like, okay, I understand. I was like, yeah, because like you're only reaching out to me this month to fulfill that. I'm gonna need you to do some more
Step
than
it
just
up.
like, yeah, step it up. It can't just be me getting on your show and doing that. And I don't do that for everybody. because like a lot of people reach out. I'm like, no, no. But there's like a few times where it's like, okay, if it's like a publication that I know, and
Sure,
it's
sure,
like,
sure.
yeah,
Yeah.
a publication that I know, and then I know the way that they're gonna talk about it is gonna be respectful to how I approve, then I'm
Mm-hmm.
cool with that.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, if I don't have to do any work, feel free to highlight me. I don't care. Like that's totally fine. But if it's like I have to schedule time, I have to
Mm-hmm.
take out time out
Mm-hmm.
of work, or I
Mm-hmm.
have to do something, and then you're telling me to talk about traumatic experiences and talk about race and all this kind of stuff, like I'm gonna need you to pay me for that. I really do, you know? And I think any black creator needs to be doing that. Any like mental health as well, because that is stuff that it's traumatic. Like it's not happy days all the time. Like
No.
Black History Month is a celebration of like the history of black people, and past and future and present. So and it's not all good stuff,
No.
especially the offers that people reach out to me about is usually, "Oh, okay, let's talk about let's talk
Yeah,
about
isn't it hard?
racism.
Yeah.
Let's
Isn't
talk
it
about
hard being
racism,
you?
and
Yeah.
yeah, is it hard being you? Tell us about racism, and trying to get through as a black person in the streaming space." And I'm like, I have plenty of articles that you guys can go
Yeah,
read.
go read it.
Go
It's out
read
there
it.
already.
Unless you're gonna pay me for it, I don't want to sit here and explain the same thing over and over again. You know what I mean? And to me, mentally, I can't deal with that. Like this morning, I had to turn down one because it was literally being like talking about mental health and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, I can't really talk about that because I don't mentally feel like I have everything put together. So I cannot tell anybody else right now.
Yeah.
And if it's like my emotions are not feeling it, I just can't do it.
Yeah, no, and that's totally reasonable. And I also want to kind of put maybe a little bow on this for people who are not clear. Like, and please correct me if I'm wrong,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
if you find me as a creator because you're looking for people in the mental health space,
Mm-hmm.
awesome. That's if that's what brought you to me, I'm very excited. More awareness of what I'm doing is what brings you to me. That's awesome. But if
Mm-hmm.
you're only coming so you could fulfill a quota and check a mark and
Yeah.
say, I know a mental health creator, that's not that's not it.
Yeah.
That's not
It's,
it. I
yeah.
don't
And
want
it's,
to be just a number. If you
mm-hmm.
discover me that way, that's great. But in the long run, you better prove yourself as a friend, as a real ally, as a like
Mm-hmm.
I don't need you there just because I am blank blank blank. I need
Yeah.
you there
Yeah.
because you looked at it. I don't care how you discovered me, basically,
Mm-hmm.
but you looked at it and you said, "Hey, I want more of that." And that's why
Mm-hmm.
I'm here.
Yeah, and it's very true. Respecting someone's time, because like especially if it's like if someone's coming to you and saying I want to have you on a project, and then you have to take your time out to do stuff for them, that's costly.
Yeah.
People like we gotta eat. You know what I mean? Like everybody's time is valuable. So like people should be compensating people if you're trying to ask somebody to be on a project, especially where it's like it's gonna be taking time out of their day to do it and talking about dramatic things that they have to reach in to talk about. Um, yeah, respecting people's time, pay for it. I'm not asking a lot, and I'm not doing that with everything. Like obviously, like
Yeah, he's on
not
here for
every
free, by the way.
oh, no, no,
We should
no, no,
no, no, no.
no, but we had scheduled
Since
this
we're
a long time
we
ago.
did. But like,
Yeah.
I should, we should. I feel like I need to address that because I feel
Oh,
like people are
yeah.
like, oh,
No,
but
this was
no, no.
no,
This
this
was
was this
like,
was a long time ago.
yeah,
But no, I was specifically talking about people who literally are emailing me
February 1st.
yesterday
Yeah.
to today and asking me to get on and talk about like racial stuff and think I'm going to mentally want to do that. I've
Mhm.
gotten so many emails about it where people are like, I want you on my podcast. It's like, I can't right now.
Yeah.
I can't. And I'm really tempted to like make a tweet or something, just being like, hey, like I no podcasts like this month, like about regarding race. And so I can't right now. Because
Yeah.
mentally it's a lot, especially talking about the same stuff.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
gets draining. But
Do you mind? So we're kind of at time, but do you mind answering
Oh,
a few questions?
oh yeah. Sorry, I went by
No,
so
we
fast.
just got like super
We can
into
keep going. I
it.
have another hour. I don't know how long your show is, but I'm just like I have like some like 30 minutes
If you're
if you want
comfy
more.
for another 30
Yeah,
minutes,
yeah,
I will
yeah,
take that time. As we're
yeah. Go
talking
for
about
it.
how valuable your time is,
Yeah,
I was like, can I
yeah.
have it? I'll
You're
take it.
you're good. You're good.
So thank you so much, everybody. To submit a question, you exclamation, actually exclamation question, and that'll give you the instructions. I always butcher them when I try to explain them. So the first question we got is from I Hate You and Dinosaur, and it's so I'm not a person of color, but I am trans. Any tips on calling out people doing transphobic things at my workplace? Like, is there a good way to call people out?
Oh, see, like, okay, so that's weird. Like,
Is this ain't
I've never,
it? You're
I've
like,
no,
I get.
I've never dealt with having to do it with someone in the workplace. Ugh, and, ugh. Like, I would not be able to. I don't think I would be able to answer that as well as I would like to because I haven't dealt with
Mhm.
anybody in the workplace doing that. But I definitely think it needs to be addressed because like people should not be discriminated against no matter where they are. But I have not dealt with anybody in the workplace doing something like that to me. But um, definitely be safe about it because people are. Oof. And if there's an HR department, I mean, that's the first place you definitely should go to and talk to them about that because that should not. I mean, it should be in the policies that people should be discriminating against others like that. Um, but yeah, yeah.
I can kind of, if it's okay, I can
Oh
address
yeah,
this
go.
one.
Yeah,
This
go
is
ahead.
this has
Yeah.
happened to me where I had to address like mental health stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And the way I went about it is you literally what Bliffle is saying, play dumb and get them to explain it to death. I went to HR, like I like that, but
Mm-hmm.
I went to HR, like I looked up the policies first.
Oh yeah,
Every company has like a really boring rule book that they hand you
yeah.
when you
Code of
start
conduct.
or
Mm-hmm.
give it to you digitally and you never look at it again. Open it up to how do I report discrimination or,
Mm-hmm.
in any way somebody like mistreating me. Open it
Mm-hmm.
up and follow that to a T because what
Yeah.
starts happening once you put the wheels in motion, your butt is got to be covered. And that's
Yeah.
not I'm not saying this is like the reality of the world is that people aren't going to look out for you unless you look out for yourself in these
Mm-hmm.
scenarios. And looking out for yourself means knowing the rules and using them in a way that helps you get the support that you deserve.
Yeah.
Because your
Mm-hmm.
boss, if your boss is the one discriminating against you, it's not in their interest for you to feel better, for you to
Mm-hmm.
be heard. Like they just don't give a flying, right? So if
Yeah.
you go to and I went to HR and they've been like, "Well, we don't know what to do." And I'm like, "Here's a book. Here's what it says you're supposed to
You're
do.
supposed to know that.
Do
Yeah.
do
Yeah.
this." And then they're like,
Mm-hmm.
"Oh, well, do you have proof?" And so that's the thing that I hate because I'm like, "No, I don't like record every conversation I have
Mm-hmm.
with someone, but
Mm-hmm.
like if you have any proof, like basically cover your butt
Yeah.
and protect your heart."
Mhm,
Yeah.
mhm. That's important. Yeah, reading that code of conduct is always like needed for
Nobody
sure.
does it, but it's critical.
Yeah.
Kyle asks, "Do you feel like you've grown in confidence in each job role that you've had?"
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. When I first started working at XSplit, like I was like fresh in the industry, didn't really know that much. I was just trying to learn. It was the first time I ever like traveled, you know what I mean? With that job, I was traveling all over like literally the world, which was so weird to me because I'm like, okay, I'm getting on a plane and I'm going here and I'm going there. And I was just like trying to take everything in. That's why I love that part of my life because it was brand new to me and
Mhm.
I was super excited to be there and just like being able to do something that I loved and having streaming be a part of it was just like even more amazing. I left because I felt like there wasn't going to be growth for me there. And I wanted to still work with streamers and all that. So, that was the first job. And then when I went to Versus Evil, I was like working in meetings with like PlayStation and Xbox and all this kind of stuff, which it was moving slightly up where it's like I was having so much imposter
Imposter syndrome.
syndrome. Yeah, because I felt like, oh my God, I'm not supposed to be here, like all this kind of stuff. And when I left that job, I felt more confident. And then at this job now, um, I've just pretty much done like everything under the sun at this point. It still feels weird that I've been working in this industry for 4 years. It doesn't feel like it feels like it's been like two. But I'm just really happy to be in this place where I still get to stream and I still get to do what I want and I still get to um work in this industry. I don't know when I will ever stop, because I never wanted to be a full-time streamer. I tried it a long time ago when I was unemployed. It was a struggle. I never want to be at that point again. So it is nice to be like, okay, if I don't, well, I don't ever want this to happen. But if I stop streaming, I could still work with streamers and still be a part of the industry. But I don't think I could do that because my job is as good as it is because I understand what it is to be a streamer and staying in contact with streamers and knowing what's going on. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I definitely have grown as each each job has happened. And I think yeah, I'm really excited for what's coming because now I'm dealing with, you know, my streaming career kind of going up and yeah, and I'm happy at my job now. I love my employer. It's a dream. Like it's something that I always wanted to work with them. So it's cool that I was able to work it out somehow, especially with coronavirus happening, but it worked.
So it's so I mean, like, the world is just it's
Yeah,
wild,
it
and
is different.
that
Yeah.
is awesome that it worked out, but, like, if you would have told me, right, that that would be a scenario, I'd be like, "Yeah, okay, good luck with that."
Yeah, yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah.
yeah. Sir, you kind of answered this, but
Mhm.
Sir Pantero asked, how do we deal with discrimination, bigotry within marginalized communities? Are you
Oh,
okay, go ahead.
oh no, you say? No, sorry.
I was gonna ask them if they could, like, do you mean against each other or just like
Mhm.
in our community as a whole? That was my follow-up question. But
Now, if
if
we're
you had an
talking
answer, go.
about like, if we talk about like, I can specifically talk about the gay community,
Go for it.
and I mean, there definitely is racism within the gay community. It's ridiculous. I've had several conversations with content creator friends, who are people of color who are also in the gay community, and we can definitely see the difference between like, one way and another way. But in in real life it's weird because like I have a bunch of Facebook statuses that are coming up when I would talk about my frustrations with like within the local community that I'm in because like I live in the gay part of Chicago. So like the venues and the bars and stuff, you can definitely tell where it's like catered to one over the other and where you
Mhm.
don't feel welcome if you're a person of color and where you can be there.
Oh my god.
And yeah, and so
We're in
last year
2021. Holy
yeah, it's crazy. It's
yeah.
crazy. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff, that is happening within the community that is you would think that it wouldn't be like that because like, we're already getting hate from, the outside world. But um something that happened in June is when, the Black Lives Matter stuff started to happen again, you know, all these bars that had been doing this in Chicago, there was a drag march that happened, and all these people who were affected by the things that were happening at these bars, they got called out, and people were talking about like people being treated poorly as like a POC person working in these establishments, and like I'm really interested to see when things are supposed to go back to normal
Mm.
around here, how it's gonna be because like a lot of these major bars were definitely called out for some of the practices that they had in a really major way where it blew up and it was in like in the newspapers and all this kind of stuff. I'm really interested to see because I definitely know I would. There's been so many places where I would sit there with my friend Braxton, and we like Braxton's black too, and we go these places and we just look at each other and be like, okay, we need to go. This is not this is not a place for us. Yeah.
That's
And you
awful.
could you could feel it. But it's not just here, it's like it's within the community, which is so sad. But that's why I always tell people if you ever watch this show Pose that's on FX, they do such a good representation of the stuff that was happening to trans women that is still happening now. Like if you watch some of those scenes, it takes place in the 80s, but it's still happening now. And I it's a lot of crazy stuff. I could go into this forever, but I continue to fight making sure that like my voice is heard in this community, and that's why also my relationship we just had a discussion about racial stuff last night, and it's very important for us to talk about it because like we're in a interracial relationship. So we have to talk about the stuff that like I deal with that he doesn't deal with, but he
Mhm,
needs to know about because
mhm,
like that's how he learns and fixes it. Like or if he sees it, like to do something about it.
mhm.
Um and I will say it's very, very good to have a partner who's like very understanding about that kind of stuff, you know. Like I've
Who's like
always been a person
listening?
who
Yeah,
listens about that. You know, it's
yeah.
very important because like I've always been a person who's like I'm an open book when it comes to like, you know, people like every race is open over here. So you come on through. And I've always been a person who will always love and like someone for who they are as a person. If it happens to be someone of a different race, I'm always have been okay with that as long as, you know, they're not only being with me because I'm black, you know, they
Sure.
see me as the person, which you know, my partner like sees me as a person. But we have these really deep discussions, which is super important because like that's how you stop these things from happening. Like I can't stop a white person from being racist. Not always. Sometimes I might say something that could help, but
Right.
if it's like someone who they know or someone who is like them and saying
Mhm.
that to them, that might make a change, you know?
Yeah.
That's why I think a lot of the things that are being said like on Twitter and stuff is important to take in and seeing how you could change it because not we can't fix this, you know? I can't fix I can't fix it, but somebody else can
It's not what
possibly.
first of all, you're doing a lot to fix it, probably more than you're giving yourself credit for. But second, like I do think I lost my train of thought. But no, it is really, really important that we speak up specifically because it takes more than that's what I was gonna say. It takes more than one person, period. No
Mhm.
matter
Mhm.
no matter their like we just need everybody speaking up about it because
Mhm.
like you said, people within similar communities are going to be listening to that kind of
Yeah.
person speaking. And so anybody needs to hear that. Yeah.
Mhm.
Pose on
Yeah.
FX. Cool.
Mhm. Yeah, I just wanna make sure
No,
since
no,
we're
you're
releasing
very
that.
sweet. Thank you so much.
Mhm.
Okay. Nanosphere asks, does it matter if you have a tiny following and still don't say explicitly, I'm against hate, Black Lives Matter, trans rights, etc., etc.?
Oh, I honestly I think about that all the time. I think it is important, no matter what kind of following you have. Like, you are a person, you have an opinion, and you should let it be known. You should feel so comfortable in your own space, especially on your own social media, in your own channel. If you want to talk about it, you should feel very comfortable to say it. You know, you just have to, I guess, be prepared that you may deal with someone who is not gonna be um, okay with that, but it's also your space, so you don't have to have them in your space. You know, I know I definitely lost a lot of followers. You know, when I started speaking up a lot more than I usually did about like LGBT issues and POC issues. But that's I don't feel like that's a loss. That's people who don't belong in my space and in my environment because they don't deserve to have that part of me. Because if you're that kind of a person who cannot see that like I'm being affected by some of these things and you're against it, we're not gonna mix. You might as well just leave. Pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
and what I said on this was when people are like, "Oh, why does Ninja have to say anything? Like, why does Ninja have to be pro anything?" I was like, if me with my measly 7,000 followers, I feel like morally obligated to say
Hmm.
something, then him sitting where he is, he should
Yeah.
not be saying some of the that he says.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a lot of things. I've never met the guy.
Sure, yeah,
I've
that's not
never met
he's
him.
never gonna see this show and
Yeah,
it's
no,
fine.
yeah, and I've never met him. I've never spoken to him. Like he followed me on Twitter in June.
Oh.
Never said anything, and I was like, okay, like I was excited because I was like, oh, that's cool, but like
Yeah, but
nothing.
nothing came of that.
You know, and I mean, I think that this goes for anybody in that kind of position. There's many of them who are, and you know, what has happened is that when people have big platforms like this and it's like you have the ability to denounce stuff or say like you know what this is really messed up, I don't approve of this. you know I know a lot of people are like, oh well, this has been said in the stream, this is what's been said in the stream. okay, I get that, but when you're at that kind of a level, it is very important if you say it in a big way on your social media and being very actively talking about it to the point where people can't even question where your loyalties lie because they know because you talk about it so damn much, you
Right.
know?
Right.
So like there has been times where I have talked to some of these creators in private and tried to tell them, "Hey, you know what? Like in June, there was a lot going on, and you were a part of a catalyst of like, revealing that there were black streamers on Twitch to some
Wow.
people.
Yeah.
And but like, I just want to make sure that you are still being supportive and very active about it. And I have done that. And I've was met with, oh, I've done enough. I play with I do enough. I play with black streamers and I host them and all this kind of stuff. And I was like, oh, okay. Well, all right. You do
You
cool.
can't possibly do
That
more. You
you can't
can't
that all
yeah.
right. Yeah. And and with this particular one, it blew up days later when someone else brought it up and this person decided to bring me into the fold by being
Right.
like, well, Brandon said this to me. So what is wrong with me? And I feel like people always do this. It's like someone black asks for accountability of someone who is usually a white male, who is in a big high platform,
Mhm.
just asking for accountability of like, what's going on? How are you helping? Like, we need your help. What are you doing? And then everybody comes to the defense of the white male because it's like, oh, well, he does this much. He spends this much money here. Da, da, da. That's not the point. Money, like, is not going to fix this. Like, that's not what it is. And I after all the stuff was happening, I came back and said, okay, this is what we were trying to say to you, and you could take it as how you want, whatever. Never heard anything back, and I was like, okay, that's it. I don't have anything else to say to you because I just said my piece. I tried to help you before anything would happen,
Right.
and it happened. And then I try to at least give you some details of like, this is how you can change it in the future. And I never got any response back. And I was like, okay, that's it. That's all. I can only do so much. You know, I don't have any hate towards any
Sure. No, of
creator
course
on this
not.
platform. I'm not mad at anybody. But I'm not going to spend my time and energy trying to help somebody out if they don't even want to
Right.
listen to it because they're in a position where everybody's like, oh, you don't have to say anything. Why are you even talking to that person? Okay,
Yeah.
that hey, the light will come and you'll see it. You know what I mean? The real truth comes out and it always does.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, it's that one's a little tickle one for me.
I'm
But anyways.
sorry. I'm sorry.
No,
I
it's
didn't.
okay. It's okay.
We went there so fast at
Yeah,
such
yeah,
speed.
yeah.
There is something happening in chat, and I'm gonna address that out. I don't want to. I don't know, Brendan. You can address it if you
Hmm.
want. But if you're like, I can't do this right now, I will address it after chat.
Hmm.
But the whole, I don't see. Why is it problematic to say I don't see color? Like I said, I can address it after chat if that's.
Oh, if you want to, go. Go for
Do
it. If
you
you
have
want to.
the basically? Do you have the energy to address it, or do you want me to just do it later?
Oh, I was missing what was happening in chat, but I could. I mean, I honestly
Basically, the question was, am I wrong to say that? Like, what is wrong with saying I don't see color?
because
That's
that's not a thing.
right.
There's no way you can not go through this life and say I don't see color. That's a privilege to say that. I have walked into stores and had people follow me because they think I'm going to steal because they see I'm black. Um, Telling people I don't see color, that's a privilege to have. I will never have that privilege, no matter like how successful I am as a person. I will be still seen as a dangerous black man. So I don't see color to me is offensive to say to people if you're trying to have a conversation with them. Um, like it's just erasing everything that someone's experience is. Um, I mean, I definitely understand like if people are trying to learn from that, understandable. But saying I don't see color, that's erasing my experience. That's erasing everything that a lot of black people, a lot of people of color deal with. It's a privilege to say I don't see color. I wish I could do that, but I can't. Actually, no, I don't wish that. I love being black because I love everything apart about me. But I would saying I don't see color is a privilege. It really is because I don't get that. And I don't have that. So yeah,
Is it okay if I address
yeah,
it
go
as
go
well?
go. It's fine.
So here's my, because I've heard this before and I've heard this from other white people, and the meaning behind it, right? The thought behind it is we are all equal. We are the human
Yeah.
race, and I get that it is a very positive intention. You're
Mm-hmm.
saying I will not hurt you. I will not discriminate against you because of your race. That's what you're saying. I will not look at you and treat you differently. That is
Mm-hmm.
what somebody who is saying that.
Mm-hmm.
However, how that comes off is exactly what Brendan said, and I don't need to reiterate it because he said it very well. But
Mm-hmm.
what happens is basically you're saying, I don't acknowledge that you have had a different experience than I have had.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you're saying. And that's where it's hurtful.
Yeah.
So, a better thing to say, because what you mean, I think what you mean to say, and I think a better way to say it is to say, I would never, or I do not want to hurt you based on your race. You can say that.
Yeah.
You can say like,
Yeah.
I will not mistreat you. I will not treat you differently because of,
Mm-hmm.
you can say that.
That is perfect.
Yes,
Like,
that's
yeah.
exactly what you mean,
Yeah.
and that doesn't take away from somebody's identity. Because
Mm-hmm.
you imagine if somebody came to you and said, "Well, I don't see you as a Christian," and you're like,
Mm-hmm.
"Okay, I get what you mean. It's
Mm-hmm.
technically not hurtful, but being Christian, this person is part of your identity." And
Mm-hmm.
so for them to say, "I don't see that," means they're trying to remove years and years and years of your service to what you believe in. So
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
it's not the same because we're talking about years of discrimination
Mm-hmm.
versus not. But what I'm trying to say is just be straightforward. Just say like, oh, I'm not going to treat you differently because
Mm-hmm.
of the way you look.
And that's exactly what, like, you should be saying that. And every time I've seen someone say I don't see color, it's always been towards someone trying to highlight people of color. This happened a few months ago where there was a black creator who was trying to list like some of his favorite, like, black creators, and someone came in and is like, I don't know why you're doing this. Why you only talk about black people? I don't see color. Da 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 da. It's like when people do it, it's like feeling the feeling of being left out, and it's like, you think that I want to sit here and always had to be like, hey, I'm here. Do you like my life matters? Hey, you think I want to
Right.
sit here all day and do that? No. Like, we have to do that because we are not being seen in the same way, which is really messed up. And that's
Right.
why
Right.
there's, why Black History Month is a thing. And that's why you see a lot of black people on the front page of Twitch. Unfortunately, that's probably gonna disappear after February, the front page stuff. But like, we are not highlighted in the same way as other creators on the platform. It's a fact. It's true. I've lived it. This is my life. I can tell you has been like this. I've been in this industry for 9 years. It's been like this. So this is the actual, I would say, the first time in the 9 years of my career that I'm at least seeing something, not thinking that this is going to be a permanent fix. It's not, but this is the first time I'm actually seeing an attempt at trying to
Work.
showcase
Work being put in.
work being done. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've been very, very proactive about POC creators in the space and LGBT creators in this space. And we are actually seeing work being done. Not finished, not complete, but it's getting there. Yeah.
So this person is responding, so I want to address that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I understand that what you're saying is you're not judging a person by their cover. What this person is saying, and I'm sorry to speak for you, you please feel to
No,
correct
no,
me,
yeah.
but what this person is saying is that is part of my identity. So you can't say I do not see this part of you. You can't look at somebody and say I don't see you as a person with a face. That's part of who they are. So you that's inherently offensive. I'm gonna try to find a better way to put it because I felt like I had it, but I don't think I have, because your skin is not just your cover. That's not how it works in the United States. The amount of things that people have to face because of their skin color. You can't say it's okay. Whatever you're experiencing,
Yeah.
it's cool. I don't see it.
Mhm.
That's what you're saying. So, and it doesn't matter if you don't mean, if your intent isn't that, it doesn't fucking matter because that is how it's received. And if somebody's telling you this is hurtful to me, you step back and say, okay, I will approach this differently next time. And if you have an entire group of people telling you, please do not address us that way, that makes us feel erased, you step back and go, oh, that makes somebody feel erased. I don't want them to feel that way. How can I do this differently?
Yeah, and I'm just saying this as a more of a general statement. So like I don't know Bat Dad at all. So
Sure.
I'm just gonna not say about to you, but I'm just gonna say this in general. Like I just said what I said, and for you to come back and say I'm just still saying I don't see color. It's like you didn't listen to what I said. Like, and that is a lot of the issues that we have with racial issues. It's like I'm literally telling you what the hell is happening. And you still are being like, well, but anyway, I don't see color. So, we're good. No, it's not. It's about listening to the experience. And some people are not capable of doing that. And that's okay. It's fine. Like I have so much energy to talk about my experience to an extent. I am not here to educate somebody who can Google most of these things on the internet. You know what I mean? Like it is what it is. Um, so I like if my experience and me explaining it to you is not enough to say, okay, maybe I can see why saying I don't see color is not the right thing to say. Even M just is explaining it in a really great way. Then I mean I can't help you. That's I can't.
Yeah.
Like and that's my mental health for my own mental health. I don't have time to educate people beyond saying what I experienced. And if you still cannot even listen to that and want to go back to the first part of that, I don't know, Google something because I can't do it.
I'm very sorry, but I've timed you out because I can't keep having this conversation. It's not fair to Brandon.
That's
And
okay. That's
if
okay.
you want to separately DM me, you can, and I will try to lead you to resources. But please just listen. Just the best thing you can do as an ally is say, you've asked, explain it to me. It's been explained to you. You don't get to argue back the explanation. You just sit back and listen. So because you're not doing that, I had to time you out. And Brendan, I'm really sorry
Oh no,
that
it's
we've
okay.
like
No,
gotten so
I
far
think
here.
that is a great example of like the situations that we're dealing with in real life is that we're trying to explain our experiences and people are not really realizing what that experience is and then trying to go back to their regular way of thinking without actually listening to what was being said. So
Yeah.
we had a real life lesson right there. So
Thank you,
that's
but
what
thank
it
you.
is.
You didn't have to fucking give anybody a lesson, and you did.
No, it's
So,
okay.
so
It's okay.
thank you. I didn't sign you up for. I swear, I
No,
didn't sign him up.
it's
Like if
fine.
you
It's
look at the
fine.
list of questions I sent him, they
That
were
was
very
not on the
much
list.
not on the list. All right. So our last question: listening is a real skill. It's difficult to people and listening and self reflection. Yes,
Hmm.
yes, um,
Self-reflection is hard.
yes.
None of this is ever gonna be easy. Trust me,
No.
I'm not perfect, and I know I've trust me, I've done some terrible things. I like my thing is that I have learned to listen and then changing the behavior so I could understand where the other person is coming from. I honestly, I just feel it's just like a relationship, like listening to why they're upset with you or why they're upset, and then doing something or taking it back in your own head and seeing where they're coming from and then realizing it and trying to understand and fix it
Mhm.
or do something to make them feel better. It is literally that simple sometimes, but listening and comprehending is not for everybody.
You said what you
I did
said.
say that, but
You
I said
said
what I
what you
said.
said. No, I think that's a very good way to end this. And again, I appreciate you. We neither of us expected that you would have to do that, but
It's
I'm
okay.
very grateful that we addressed it because I wanted to make sure that nobody thought they can come into chat and that would be okay. And
Hmm.
that's why I called it out. So thank you for helping me.
Hmm.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. The last question is, did the I'm gay tweet have the biggest reaction compared to other stuff you've done?
I mean, mm, I make a lot of funny tweets like that are supposed to be funny. That one sticks out the most because of the fact that because so many people responded in support of me being a gay person, and that's the one I strictly remember because I was just like, it was like really big people who I didn't even know who knew me, and I was like, oh my god, like they're literally coming to the defense to say something. That is the kind of stuff where I think it's super important to be very open and honest about where you stand to your audience or your followers, because that you teach them like, hey, I don't support if you are being like a racist or a homophobe or transphobe to people and you're in my community, I don't stand for that and you're not going to be here for that. And so that's situations like that always make me very happy to see when creators are being open. It doesn't matter how many followers you have or what your viewership is. Like if you're streaming and people are following you and you are making an impression on them, that is the time to speak up and be open about yourself. Why not do it then and there? It makes no sense to be quiet. Why? To save a viewer to watch your stream? No viewer is worth like saving your stream to have racists and all these kind of people in your community because you want to have a view. Screw that. Absolutely not. That
And it
could
just
not be me.
grows. It just gets
It
worse because
definitely would
it
not be
just
me.
compounds and it
Yeah.
just gets worse. You let one person do it, and then another person goes, "Oh, I guess this is an okay thing to do," and then they do
Yeah.
it, and then it just keeps going.
Hmm. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, Brendan, this was. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
This is we've. Whew, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
We went from like, so how is your career to
But this is a part of it. This whole thing, this is a part of my life and my, my journey in this gaming atmosphere, because like, diversity is obviously super important to me and representation is very important to me. That's why I've done a lot of the things I've done over the last, 9 years of my life. When I started this entire journey, I knew I was stepping into a space that I was not represented in at all. If there was representation, it was very small that I definitely didn't know about. And so I will continue to do what I have to do to make sure that everybody has a seat at the table, because of the fact that everybody should, no matter what you are or who you are or however you identify as, you should be able to live your dreams and your passions. Even if you're a streamer or like gaming and all that kind of stuff, you should be able to feel so comfortable in doing it and never feel like you don't have a seat at the table. Which I think is super important. You know, everybody should have that feeling. Everybody. Um, that's my goal. I think that's why I was put here on this earth, is to somehow let people know that you deserve happiness in whatever that is, and no one should stop you from living your dreams and your passions, because that's not fair to you, and you should never change yourself based upon someone else.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Impartial peer, hold on to that question about microaggressions. We're actually going to have a scientist come on, a researcher,
That's a
and
good
she's
one.
going to tell you all about it. So hold on to that question. I'll promise it'll be answered. Fantasy Lazada, Dr. Fantasy Lazada, she's awesome. And that's one of the topics we're going to talk about. And I feel like she'll really be able to explain it very well. But it's a good question. Just we'll move it over. But thank you again so much. Thank you for all of your effort, for all the emotional labor that you did today. That
Mhm.
definitely didn't expect going in, but I appreciate that you still did it. So thank you so much.
Yeah.
Where can everybody find you and all that stuff? So I have your Twitch link, I have your
Yeah.
Twitter link.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's go.
If you want to check me out on Twitch, I will be streaming later tonight. We'll be doing some stuff over on twitch.tv/iamBrandon. Trust me, if you go in there, it's a mess. So if you're ready to have some
He's
fun,
not
feel free
giving
to go
himself
over there.
credit. He's
Um,
great.
and then also Twitter is twitter.com/iamBrandonTV, because I was not able to get the TV because someone else has it. So I can never change my name, because if I do, I'll lose my check mark. So I had to keep it forever. So TV is a part of my life.
Woo! Woo! Thank you so much. We will be right back, everybody. Stick around. Thank you so much.
Bye,
We'll be right
everybody.
back. Bye, everybody.